It doesn't exist. It's not existent. What the hell does that mean? Seriously, what does failure mean? It doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination. Let's use happy endings, right? And then we can relate this to failure, why it's not existent. Like, everybody talks about, like, everybody wants a happy ending, right? Now let's go to the reality of it, right? Let's look at a fairy tale story. Let's look at Snow White. Mm-hmm. She gets a happy ending. She finds Prince, whatever. She goes on. She lives happily ever after. Well, I call bullshit on that, because 2 months later, the fact is they had an argument and he's sleeping on the couch. Right? So the point is, the story continues. The story continues. So if you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that. Right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, if I fail today, I'm going to learn something from that failure, and I'm going to try again on Tuesday. And I fail, and I'm going to try again on Wednesday.
You've got to work on yourself. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. And if you look at people who are living below their potential and sinning in sin, and the Aramaic language means falling short of the mark, I asked the question earlier, how many of you have goals? And you raise your hands, how many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you can do more than what you've done. The majority of us raise our hands. Then that was an indication that was testimony to reflect the fact that you operating below your potential. That's a sin hearing my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, than just say, fruit, much fruit. See, when you leave here, you've got to make a commitment to be more fruitful, for thee to be more productive, to make greater impact.
I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old, in a very prominent summer league in Philadelphia called the Sunny Hill League. My father played, my uncle played, and they were like all-time greats and some stuff. And Wilt Chamberlain played in the league, Earl of Pro Monroe played in the league. And here I come playing, and I don't score 1 point the entire summer.
Really?
Not one.
How old were you?
11, 10, 11.
And you're playing against other 10, 11-year-olds?
Uh-huh.
And you didn't score once?
Not one.
Were you in the game?
I was in the game.
How'd you not score?
Because I was terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
That happened. 10, 11 years old, you were that
awful. I mean, and I had these big knee pads on because I was growing really fast. I had socks all the way up here, and I had like the pod top
skinny,
like skinny as hell. And I scored not a free throw, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup.
So what will allow you to do that? You got to spend time working on yourself. In order to write this down, in order to do something you've never done, you've got to be someone you've never been. In order to do something you've never done, you've got to be someone you've never been. That's why Scripture says you must be born again. You've got to die as you are now. You've got to be willing to give up who you are now for what you can become. Certain things will no longer fit into your life. There's no place for it. In order to do something you've never done, you've got to be someone you've never been, so you've got to spend serious time reading, writing your goals down, reading Scripture, anchoring yourself spiritually to handle the storms of life, because they're going to come. So every day you have to sell yourself and get out of your mind those old thoughts, that old belief system. Every day you've got to sell yourself on that. It's possible. But you got to put a new mind in you. You got to get out of your mind. You got to begin to restructure your thinking. Every day you've got to begin to recondition your mind.
Yeah. We talk about hard work all the time. It's like, man, if you got to get up every single morning and remind yourself how hard you need to work, you probably need to choose a different profession. Because that shouldn't be there. I wake up in the morning excited to get to it. If I'm not training, I'm missing it. If I'm not watching a game of basketball, I miss it. There's no place I'd rather be. And if you have that feeling, then you're truly doing what God has put you on this earth to do. I think you have to challenge yourself to evolve and to grow. And I couldn't think of a better message for athletes in particular, because it's very easy for us athletes to kind of lose ourselves and our identity by connecting who we are to what we do. And I think that's a very dangerous zone to be in, right? So it's common sense to me to be able to say, okay, the next stage I'm going after with the same intensity, the same attention to detail, the same curiosity. So of course I'd want to be better at that than I was in my previous career.
You have to go dark. Remember about that is you have to be quiet in your mind, get away from people. A lot of us out here pushing real hard, but we're afraid to go into that dark side. In your mind, when you push real hard, you have this door in your mind. And whoever still wants to open that door, you must open that door. You're in a tunnel. It's a dark ass tunnel, and you can't see. There's one thing about being in dark places. If you have the courage to stay in there long enough, your eyes will start to adjust to the darkness. Your body and mind will always adjust to more suffering, to more pain. If you want to push harder, know this, your mind quits way before your body. As we love being around people, we love talk, and we love parties, we love all that. It's okay to be alone. It's also okay to be unhappy. It's okay to be unhappy sometimes, man. It's okay to say, you know what, man, I'm out. So you got to go to the truth first. Who are you?
So the level of fear that he inspired in others was insane.
And, the hype of going up against Mike, it was, okay, let's go. Show me. Like, I've been watching you play my whole life. Yeah. Show me. Right? I want to see this. Everybody calling you Black Jesus and all this other crap. Like, you have to show me, man.
And I would tell him, I said, when I face him, we're going to go at it. He says, oh, you don't want to do that. I'm like, what? Man, you don't know me, man.
Michael's a great basketball player, but I'm Kobe Bryant.
And I went out there and we went head up. And, I think his respect and appreciation for me really grew that day because you saw on the biggest stage, I didn't shy away from that confrontation. I looked forward to that confrontation.
You got to look at the reality of the situation. Like for me, it's not, you kind of got to get over yourself. It's not about you, man. Like, oh, okay, you feel embarrassed. You're not that important. Get over yourself.
That's where you go.
Get over yourself, right? Like you're worried about how people may perceive you and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right?
Suck it up and move on. Get over it. No one's coming to see. No one's coming to save you. The only person that's going to make a drastic change in your life, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, the only person that is going to dig you out of your hose, who you have to do it for you. You've got to become courageous to stand up within yourself, to face it and step forward. Continue to do those things that you know that work for you after you have evaluated yourself from the situation. Continue to move, stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. It's not easy, but through practice and practice and practice. Practice makes improvement. You have absolutely nothing to do with what happened to you. It's not your fault. But if I come back a week later, you're still on the ground. If I come back a year later, you're still on the ground. That's your fault if you get knocked down. There's nothing you can do about it. But getting back up has every single thing to do with you, and you will promise me that from this day forward, you will not be defeated.
It's a good separation for me, emotionally, to be able to put myself in a place where at practice or when I'm training or during games, I switch my mind to something else, switch my mode into something else, right? For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time, right? So that was my mental switch. It was like an actor getting ready for a film. You got to put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character. And then when you leave there, it's something completely different. But when I'm in that cage, bro, don't touch me, don't talk to me.
Life can throw you some curves, and it's not just the things that you see coming, but sometimes it's the things that you didn't see coming that hit you out of nowhere that set you back in such a way that it seems like you can't get over. I was in my comfort zone. I was doing just enough to get by, working on a job. They paid me just enough to keep me from quitting, and I worked just hard enough to keep from getting fired. I was parked. I knew I could do more. But when my mama died, it took something out of me. When I went through a divorce, it took something out of me. When my best friend died, it took something out of me. I thought. And somebody said that life is like an onion. You have to peel it one layer at a time. And sometimes you cry. Life's going to happen to you. When you have a dream, you're going to get slapped around. And don't take it personally. Don't ask, why did this have to happen to me? Why not you? Who would you suggest?